know, I suppose I should try to control myself and not get so irate on these videos, right? I should. But, you know, I just don't get why people, I mean, why would you tell me that I needed to get more self-control? Me? Do you know the fruitages of the Spirit by any chance? You know, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, the fruitages of the Spirit were a really big deal. Want me to go get my Bible? It's in Galatians chapter 5, verses 20 through 22. The fruitages of the Spirit. Ever heard of it? I bet you don't even know what that is, do you? Back when I was a Jehovah's Witness, we covered that scripture, those scriptures a lot. And a person was to take those things to heart. And can you even guess what one of them is? You don't even know, do you? I studied the Bible. I know the Bible pretty damn good. I'm not going to say that I know where every scripture is, but I know where enough of them is. I guarantee you I know more scriptures than you do. The fruitages of the Spirit go something like this. Joy, peace, long-suffering, goodness, mildness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. I think I forgot a couple of them. But the fruitages of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, goodness, long-suffering, self-control, whatever. I don't have a Bible here. You can look it up yourself. But the one that I'm capitalizing on here is self-control. I had to learn self-control as a Jehovah's Witness. And I also had to learn to watch my temper. I had to learn to control my temper. Because when you're a Jehovah's Witness and all these different verses that talk about how you're to put on the new personality according to God, you know, you have to strip off the old personality and put on the new one. You have to become a completely different person, and you're not going to tell me that it wasn't noticed in my family that I changed, became a more mild person. I tried very hard. In spite of the fact that I was extremely pissed off about my situation in life. I was a single mother. 2 children that had been sexually abused. 2 failed marriages by the time I was 25. I was not allowed to get married. I spent 11 years of my life the first half of it in a crappy marriage with a pedophile, and the second half of that not free to marry. And then I got disfellowshipped on purpose, and I went out and did whatever I want, and I sowed my wild oats. And then I went back because I was trying to get a grasp on what the hell happened to me. Why did that happen to me? I wanted to know. How did this happen? And it didn't take long to find out. The fact is, I already knew before I got reinstated because I saw it online. I looked up silent lambs and I found out why it happened, because the religious organization hides child molesters, and they allow them to go out and find young mothers, single mothers, to marry, and they get to manipulate them into marriage however they have to. You know, tie a symbolic rope around their ankle and hook it up, and they can't get away. Because it's a mind game. It's mind control. And they're experts at mind control. So anyway, I'm trying to make a point here, though, that I've been through a lot. And I haven't had it good like your sweet little Aunt Deanna's, who's never had a money problem in her life. She's never had to do without. Neither have her brat kids. And neither has her husband. They're living in $1 million home, for your information, out in Colorado. And I looked, I Googled it, and I saw the little cul-de-sac that goes up to their house. And I zoomed in on it, and you could see their driveway and their neighbor's driveway. And I mean, it was like I was right there. I could almost see every rock in the road. And you see the mountains behind it, and you see all this pasture, and you know, it's $1 million home, and I compare myself with her. I always did. And what I see is a person who doesn't have the slightest idea what integrity is. That's her in Colorado. I had to put on integrity every damn day I lived, because I was not allowed to remarry. And I was madly in love with a man who was inside the JW organization, and I wasn't allowed to have him. I was madly in love with him. And it wasn't about his money. It was a father complex. I had daddy issues because of my mother. My mother just took and just deleted my biological father out of my life, and his name was a bad word in my house growing up, in our house growing up, okay? So, in spite of being a very angry young mother and raising 2 kids by myself, alone, I have had a pretty rough road, and I've had to do without. I've had to struggle. My kids knew better than to ask for anything at all when we went to the store. They knew not to ask for toys. I don't exaggerate, sweetie. I never exaggerate. I try, and if I seem to be slightly exaggerating, sometimes I have to exaggerate to get a point across. For the most part, I refuse to do that, but I'll let you know if I am, because I want to be trusted. I want people to know that when I say something, it is the ironclad truth. I like to make sure that the words that come out of my mouth are very well filtered, processed, homogenized, sanitized. I don't just say anything to anybody. How hard do you think it was to talk to Jerry and not say things to offend him? Did you ever think about the relationship I had with Jerry? How would it have been if I was to sit there and point out all of his faults? What kind of a relationship could I have with my brother if all I did was sat there and pointed out his faults? Don't you ever wash your clothes? Don't you ever take a bath? Why don't you wash your hair once in a while? God, Jerry, why don't you get some dentures? Don't you know how crappy you look? God, Jerry, why do you gotta bum money all the time? You know I knew you were lying. Why do you gotta lie all the time? I noticed when you were at my house last time a bunch of stuff was missing. You took it, didn't you? I want it back. When are you gonna bring it back? What did you do with my stuff? Do you think I had a relationship like that with my brother? Do you? Did you have a relationship like that with him? Do you think I don't know how to be careful what I say to people? You actually think I don't know how to filter my mouth? And how about that scripture? I don't give a good goddamn if you don't like it if I quote scriptures. I spent 30 plus years in a religious organization that opened up the Bible and looked up at least 30 scriptures every time we went to the Kingdom Hall to study the Bible. It was a Bible study program. Don't you dare knock my use of the scriptures. I'm trying to think, is it in Proverbs chapter 12 verse 9? Quote me if I'm wrong. It's the scripture that Deanna decided she was going to quote to me on her mock Facebook sites back in the days of my oscillating hot gossip column. She decided to use that scripture against me, which you know that the only place she could have heard that scripture was from me. There's the one that speaks as with stabs of a sword. Remember that scripture? Do you think that I have not learned how to watch my mouth? If I'm going to talk in a colorful way to somebody, it's on purpose. I don't appreciate somebody, and especially my daughter, having to use these certain words to me. Because of you, Jenessa. My daughter had to say these terrible words to me because of you. I don't like my daughter disciplining me. For your information. I don't like her scolding me. I don't like her disciplining me. There are certain things that I don't mind her chastising me about, but not when it comes to this crap that you caused. She says here, you gave me your word you wouldn't bring Jenessa into Facebook drama. Yet you have done so anyway, and included me. Your perspective is incorrect on this entire situation. Pointing blame and shame to everyone else for your simple mistake is not okay and not going to help you to learn better communication. Help me to learn better communication? Which is the only reason I told you. She didn't have to tell me either. Well, then why did she tell you? She didn't have to tell my daughter. She didn't have to tell me. Well, then why the fuck did you tell her? This is what you caused. You put my daughter in the middle of it. She didn't have to tell me either, but it came up in conversation. No one is scolding you. Stop being so goddamn defensive and learn something about yourself. I'm 62 years old. Do you actually think I don't know myself? I've been in and out of religions, in and out of jobs, in and out of different places to live. I've been from Missouri to Kansas, back to Missouri, by myself without any help from anybody. I have a business. I have my own cleaning business. And I can get new work and support myself without anybody's help. I need to learn more about myself. This is my daughter talking to me because of you. That you can work on and have better relationships. She's scolding me. She's saying that she's not scolding me, but she is. One of these days, you're going to find out what it feels like, Jenessa, to get scolded by your own kids. And you're going to get to see what that feels like. Because it sucks. And this is all your fault. Says, I also do not appreciate our trust being broken again. Again. This is not how healthy relationships work. If you want to continue spreading toxicity, you know what I will choose. So you see, this is what you've done. You couldn't just keep your goddamn mouth shut. This is what you wanted, Jenessa. You wanted this. You know why I say that? Because Jesse doesn't even know this is happening. Does he? Jesse doesn't even know about my apology. Does he? It's because you've got this mental problem where you're in a cage, you're in a box. And boy, just as soon as the lid comes off, whoa! There she goes. It's like you're wound up too tight and you just got to cause some kind of fucking mischief. I might lose my relationship with my daughter over this. And if I do, it's your fault. But it's what you wanted, isn't it? Because you're so mad that you can't have a decent relationship with your mother. You put my daughter in this situation. What you should have done is you should have contacted me and left her out of it. This wasn't about her. And now you're going to try to fuck up my family.